Hi everyone, welcome. I'll be putting the camera on in just a moment as I wait for everybody to find us. Hi everyone, welcome. Oh, let's turn that down. I'll be putting the camera on in just a moment as I wait for everybody. There we go. I have my comments up. So let's see, it is 3 o'clock. So let's go ahead and get the camera on. There we go. Well, hi everyone. Welcome to Live with Janome. I'm Ann Hine, Embroidery Software Specialist for Janome America. And today I wanted to show you a few things with our Artistic Digitizer software that are kind of my favorite things. There's a lot of things in there I like, so I'm just going to show you a couple things. And then I have a really cool project to show you, whether you want to do it the way I did it or not. It's a free design, and we're going to be doing cut work. And so you're all going, what is cut work? So cut work is using these little cut work blades. They look like needles. They fit in your sewing machine where your needle goes, and they cut your fabric. So when we get further along, I have my project under the needle right now. So we'll switch out to the last cut. So I'll show you that part of it so you can see, how the project goes from there. So welcome everyone. I do have my comments up. So if you have any comments, please put them there. I'm going to try to watch. Hi, Marty. And let's see. Who is that? Oh, from Washington. Is it Maley? Is that how you pronounce it? I can't see all the letters from here. All right, so let me get started. I'm going to put the software up and show you a couple things that I like. Maybe you have some favorites too, or maybe you're on the fence, you have the junior program and you're not sure if you want to move up. And I always tell people, if you can get a special on the upgrade to go to full, definitely take part of that, because there's so much more out there you can do with your software. The junior program gives you a lot of things to do, but you can't delve in and play with some of the tools, some of the editing tools too, if you're converting graphics and things like that. Even editing your letters and anything that you're working on, you don't have a lot of those tools. It's great for wireless transfer. It's great for just doing regular lettering, and it doesn't require too much editing in there of the shapes itself, those kind of things. You can bring designs in and merge them, that kind of stuff. So that's always good. And resize, recalculate. So that's really the excellent side of junior. But the full program gives you a couple more things. And so let me show you that. I'm going to switch here to my software. Let's see what happens here. And I don't know if it's going to go. Let me go back here. Hang on. I'll do it this way. So I have it open here on the welcome screen. All the welcome screens look the same, whether you're junior or full. And I want to say first, before we get going, we just had an update to the software. It was a build update to 8944, and it's caused a lot of confusion because typically, we go up under help, check for updates, and we either find an update or we don't. So it's better with this update to not use the in product update. We're recommending people close their software, uninstall it, and use we have a link on the Facebook page, the Janome Artistic Digitizer Facebook page, that are from the developer for both Mac and PC, so you can reload it with the new version. So that seems to be helping with that. I'm not sure what's happening with the built-in one. I think sometimes it's some of the Windows updates, or there's some things in your computer. My computer had really major issues because we have some extra securities on our computer. So sometimes stuff doesn't want to work for me anyways. All right, so I'm going to jump right in. I already have a couple designs decided what I'm going to do. The first thing I want to show you is really one of the things I love playing with. It's called Paint Stitch. And I'm going to click on this JPEG right here. It's actually my little favorite goat and the tulips. And then here's where you can choose what to do with it. So I love Paint Stitch, so I'm going to go right to that. And once you click on Paint Stitch, it will open on the ready to sew screen for you to do any editing to it. If you are bringing in an SVG, they automatically, once you double click on them, they open on the ready to sew screen with stitches in them. Anything that's a vector will open that quickly. The raster graphics, those that are more that are pixelated, these are like your photos and things like that, they need a little bit more work to do. So I'm going to do open as paint stitch. I could crop this down if I want. I don't need all the black under here, so I'm just going to click on here and just make that a little bit less. I don't want to take his tongue out or anything. There we go. And my kid drew this for me. I have an amazing artist in-house. Well, actually not in-house because he moved out, so that's a nice thing. Okay, so there we go. And there it is on the screen. So it's all thread work. When you move in close, you can see it's all this little squiggly thread work. And you really, when it's like this, you can't really edit inside it, but you can adjust it over here in your properties. So right now I have it set for Janome thread. It doesn't have a lot of variations in colors. So if I went with something like Isacord, maybe it might change it a little bit because it gives it more variation. Or even, I use a lot of Marathon, so I can go to Marathon and it would give you maybe sometimes more depth. But as you go down, you can change how many colors. Maybe you want 10 colors, and we'll see what happens. It's going to merge some things together when you do that. There we go. So it took a lot of the red out, so there's no red. You can see that in there. So let's put that back up there. There we go. And then you can change the length of your stitches. You can make them longer or shorter. You can smooth things if it looks a little bit like it's rough. So there I did the smoothing. It doesn't really show much. Blending, let me go back to standard here. And then under blending, you can do high blending and then, or full blending. And it makes a little bit changer. It made it a little sharper. I think I like high blending better. And then I have done this. I haven't stitched it like this. I've changed my stitch length. Let me see if I go in there. Oh, there we go. Depending on which direction, let's see. Let me put it in as, I can make it, now doesn't it look fuzzy? Because I used a 9mm stitch length. So look at those stitches. I'm not sure how well this would stitch, but he sure looks cute. I may stitch this out one day. It is a lot of stitches to do a sample, but I may stitch him out one of these days. I have a lot of time and just see if, because this would be cool texture if I put it on like the front of a bag or even the back of a jean jacket. Those kind of things would really be fun. Down here, you can change the brightness if you need to, if you want it brighter. It looks pretty bright right now. And that, of course, takes some of the colors out. Or you can come down here and change the contrast. So you can tweak a lot of things. If you have something that you want to pronounce more, to show up a little more, you can use your stitch flow tool. And it says subject. So what you would do, you get this little red dot, and then you can, maybe this little dot, maybe I want that to show a little bit more. I can circle it and it'll give that a little more prominence. It's barely there, I can see it. Let me undo that one. And then I'll go ahead and try, maybe we'll try the tongue. There we go. So it did change that a little bit. So you can, can make some changes in there like that. If you needed to edit the inside of it, what you would need to do is save this as a JEF file and open it again. And then it becomes individual pieces, okay? But you have to remember, this is stitched layer by layer. So there might be black here and there might be black way over there. And so when you start cutting, I've used my knife and cut things away. That's my other one I like. Let me show you the knife. We'll cut off a corner up here. So you draw a line and shape. You select, oh, I don't know if it'll, it might not cut this one because this is the draw. Let me just see. And then I'm going to do, I'm going to select everything. We'll see if it lets me cut it. Nope, it won't. I have to bring it in as a JEF. So I have cut my Jeff files to remove, maybe make them a shape. I've done hearts and things like that out of my, drew a little heart on here and cut that. So that's how that works. All right, I'm going to close this one. No one has any questions, so I'm going to actually close this one. I don't like to leave it those ones open that much because they take a lot of processing in your computer, so it's easier. Plus, I'm also using my computer to stream. So I talked about the knife tool. So the neat thing about the knife tool, I think I showed this last week, or maybe it's coming up. One of the ways you can use it is you can use it on lettering, but how it works is you have a shape or a letter, and what you want to do is select your digitize outline shape tool, and you're going to draw a line, and it could be squiggly or straight. When you get to the end, you're right clicking. I'm using the context tool, so I'm left clicking, right click, left click, end shape, and then I will select everything here. Now when I right click on it, I see knife, and I can click knife. Now knife made two parts, so let me get the two parts apart. There we go. And then I have this one up here. So it's really cool. You can take names and cut names apart. You can take words like love and change those apart. So if we did that up here, let me see. I don't know what the font we have today is. I usually try to find a really chunky font. I'm not sure what this one is, but I'm going to put it at 60 point here. There we go, just to show you. And I'm going to select it. There we go. And then you can take your outline shape tool, and you could do this kind of thing through it. And shape, select all. Whoops. If that happens, my tool's still selected. I can go to escape and then hit select. I want to select both of those. Let's see if that'll work, if I need to do break apart. Nope, there's the knife. There we go. And so you can see, we'll move these up. Oh, maybe that one will move down. So now you have all these individual parts, and you can, I'm going to go in close so you can see. If I don't want outlines, I can click on them, reduce my outlines down here. I can change the patterns, the colors, so these can all be different colors. So this, to me, I love that knife tool. There's so many things I like to chop up and do. It's a very handy tool. And that's, creating an outline shape with your digitize outline shape tool, and then selecting both, right clicking, knife. Now, if you don't see knife, something is amiss. Maybe like I did it on that paint stitch, that wasn't a Jeff file yet, so I cannot cut it. I could bring it back in as a Jeff file and then cut it. So just remember, you have to, if you don't see it, some things, usually that's how all the tools work. If you try to look for a tool and you don't see it, things on your workspace are not there for that tool to work properly. Let me think what else. The other thing I really like too is we have a thing up here under edit called, oh no, it's under file, sorry, design properties. So in design properties, I can, if I wanted to save this design, I could say who the designer is. I can put some keywords up here to tag it so I can find it later. I can write some remarks in here, it was Valentine's, or I used whatever thread, blah, blah, blah. And then I would save it down here, and it would show up on my print function. So I'm going to say here, there we go. How about that? And I'm going to say, okay. And then if I go to, and it's always going to be with this design. So if I go back and I needed to check something on that design, there's all my information. So you want to make sure you're doing that. You can even set optimizer controls just for that design. So this is a nice way, instead of having to have a notebook or something next to you to remember what's going on, open up your design properties and write it in there. And then if you wanted to, when you go to the print function, and I'm going to change this to design only, and And let's see, let me see up here. I'm going to put, let's see, I think I want information. It's way down here on this part of it. Let's make this 1/1. And there we go. So right down here, it's going to say Happy Valentine's right in this area down there. And if I named it, there'd be a name up here. There'd be information at the top. So that's really handy. And you could make this font larger by going into your tools and your tool options and changing your size of your font there so you can see it a little bit better, because it's programmed to be very tiny. Even when I print this, it's tiny, but it's very handy to have this if you're printing things out. All right, so let me close this. Let's see, I had something over in that corner I had to get rid of. There we go. All right, so I'm going to switch over to our project so we don't go too long today. And before I do that, I have to, I'm going to show you on my computer where to go to get these designs. Hang on one second. I don't know if anybody's played with the any cut work designs or the cutting blades. Has anybody tried that? Go ahead and make a comment. All right, let me switch the camera. Or if you have, you can do a thumbs up if you've done that as well. Let me go here and I'll put it back on me for just a moment, and then we'll go to my computer. All right, so this is where you find the designs. All right, this is the Janome Global page. And when I go to my, let me move this over. Oh, a long time ago. Oh, we got to do it again. If you want to find this page, I just do a search right here and I put in Janome Global software updates. And just put in Janome Global and click right there. It'll take you to one of these boxes over here. So I'm under the machine owner's information at the moment. And I want to show you under the Continental 17, as you scroll down, you're going to find out there's all kinds of information you can, here's some applications of the apps that we have. There's an embroidery sample here on combining embroidery designs. Right here, cutwork embroidery designs for the Continental M17. They're right here. Now the design package is the same for all the machines, okay? It just says it's for the Continental here. So you would download that. And there's also the one that says artistic. And so they're the same designs, and I'm going to explain the difference when we get to play with them a little bit. And there's instructional videos. So I'm just going to show you, if you had a S9, which I'm working on today, here's your cutwork designs right there. If you had I don't know if they're listed under here. Yep, under the 15,000, there they are. If you have a 550E, they have couching designs down here. They don't show it for the 550E. And the reason is, when I get to the machine, I'll explain why. You could still use them, but there's something they've updated in the machines that make it easier on the other machines. So that's where you would go to find these things. All right. I love this page because you can even go here to Janome Bulletins. And then here are some, if there's an update that they've posted, information on different things, sewing machine stuff. You can click on any of these. We have we just had a new bi-level foot for 7mm. We have the left-sided bi-level foot now. So you can come in here and you could print these out. They look like this. And then you could keep those in a notebook. We have information about the foot right there. Or you can save them in a folder on your computer and not print. It's tough printing a lot of stuff. All right, so I'm going to move my computer out of the way, and I'm going to show you when you download the embroidery, when you download the cutwork designs, you get this, and this is our little project we're going to do later in a little bit. This is one of the cutwork designs, and I added a little bit of vinyl here and sandwiched my little shakers in there, okay, as a little Valentine thing. So I'm going to put that aside. So you get this, you can download this booklet here. And then I downloaded the and printed for you the bulletin. So this is the bulletin for there. And it shows you, here are the blades. And each color cuts a different angle. And it says over here what the angles are. The needle holder is here. There's a part number for that. And then here's the cut work. These are flat back ones. We had at one time some for our round machines for like an MB4, MB7, but I'm not sure where those have gone. So that's just a duplicate of that one. These are the designs that come in the package. Aren't they pretty? And there's two sets. Remember I told you there were some that say JPX on them. I'll go back to the computer a minute. Some say JPX and some say draw. They're in two different folders. The draw file ones are the ones you would take into your software. So you could combine two designs. And I'm going to show you that. If you wanted to combine this design with maybe this design, okay, and you're going to put it along the edge of a little lacy shirt or something like that, you could do that right in the AD software. If you brought in the ones that are JPX into the software, you lose some of you still have those, you just still have the cut work part of it, but it changes it and it doesn't show you that they're needles. It just shows you that they're a color. Okay, that's the way we used to do it. We used to just match our color blade to the color on the screen, and they're red, blue, black, and green. So you would just do that. But they have ones now that we can take right into our software. And that's how I created this. I took this design into the software to make some changes into it. All right, and then as you go along, let's see, here's the start of that one design. And when I printed it out in there, this is the one that is the draw file, which will turn into a JEF file when you send it to your machine. It shows here the different knives, where the knives go. Okay, so this is your order of stitching for just that, if I was just doing a single one. And of course, then we get into the directions. They show you how to prepare your fabrics. There's nice graphics in here on how to do it. There's some other information. Again, they show you this. You do want to go in and turn off your low bobbin warning, or make sure it's not set on off. But you do want to make sure you turn off your thread sensor in the set mode, because when you go to use the blade, it's going to say there's no thread in there, and so it's going to stop. So if you just turn that off in there. So this is what it looks like on your screen, and I'll show you my S9 in just a moment. Right down here, it's showing you the blades. So after you stitch that number one color, this is, I think the black one is always first. They always go in the same order. The black one is first, and it pops up on the screen, and there's a little notation. And then this little note comes up here. There's a little holder, and you insert it right where your needle goes. And then you just continue on. Each time the color comes up, it tells you to stop and put in the next one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move over to my S9, because I have one started over here, and I got to move things carefully because I have some stuff out that I don't want to. And oh, maybe we'll put it up on here. This might be better. There we go. Excuse my camera. I have to get my camera in the right spot. Hopefully it won't fall down. So I'm going to hold these up. This is what your needle looks like, right? Oh, it's hard to see it. That would be a sewing machine needle. But the blades, and maybe I'll turn my camera down so you can see it. I'll put a blade next to a needle. There you go. So this is a cutting blade, and this is the needle. Okay, and they come in a little pack like that. This is the little holder. What you do is you put you can put your needle, even your sewing machine needle, in here, to help hold it. Sometimes this works well for me and sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes I just use I hold it and put it in. So I am at the point where it wants me to change. I'm going to show you on the screen of the machine. So over here, we did all the colors. The red was my last one. That's what's in there right now is the red one. And it wants me to put the green one in. It says change needle, blah, blah, blah. Now, if you had a 500, 550E in that line, you would not see these things. In your color list, you would see green and it would be RBG 000, something like that. So that's how you would know that it is where you put the cutting blades. And then I'm going to change it and then I'll touch OK after that. So let's look at my machine here. And there we go. All right, let me get my hands in there. Hopefully I don't block everything. All right, so I'm just going to loosen the screw here. And that'll pull down. Okay, and then I want the green one. So let me see where the green one is. Now I have a little system on mine. I have a little container that I keep my cut work blades in. And when I take the sewing machine needle out, I put it in the container. And then as I use each blade, they're out of the holder, I put them in the little container. So they kind of stay in one place. It's a little easier. So I just have to get the flat of the back there. And then you just like you put in a needle, you have to put it up in here, just like that. And then tighten it up. Now, one thing too, when you're loosening this screw here, make sure you loosen it enough. Even when you're putting a needle in, you do want your needle to go all the way up into there. You don't want it to go part of the way. So that's why, when you go to change a needle, I will double check on this one. It should be okay. Make it loose, push it all the way up. And my machine is locked at this moment, so I can put my finger under the needle. That's one good thing I like about this. It will lock automatically. If you're on a 500, 550E, you'd have to lock your machine. Okay, so that's in there. I've done all the colors. I'm going to touch OK. And now I'm going to hit the start button. This is what it looks like on the screen now. It's going to cut those parts of the heart. All right, so we'll kind of stay back here. I'll hold the camera. I know, it's like watching paint dry. We'll let it do 2 of these. Maybe I'll let it do all of them and then I can take it off. Now I have my speed set at full, which is fine. If it makes you nervous, turn your speed down. Now in the software, you can also create your own cut files. There is a cut work command. So if you have something particular that you want to make cut work, maybe you want to make a design that goes along the bottom of a skirt. I've done a couple things with dresses where I've cut holes in the top and then you can fill them with net fill or other fabric, things like that. All right, I think we're on the last one. Here we go. All right, so now it's done and it says on the screen, remove cut fabric. All right, and I'll do that. And then it says, change to sewing machine needle. There we go. Change needle, press OK. All right, I'm not going to press, I'm actually going to press OK at this moment, but I will put it back. I want to take it out. I'm not going to let it stitch the rest of it. I'm going to explain how I did the rest of the project. So let's bring this over here and see if there's any comments. No, you guys are all so quiet. My goodness. All right. Oh, shoot. Oh, wait, let me turn the camera down. Here we go. All right, here we are. Now, you can't really tell where they are, but I'm just gonna push on them here. Now, sometimes there are parts, this sometimes there's like a little connector in there that doesn't release. And that's when I just take my little sharp scissors and I clip that. That's between a one color blade and another color blade. Now, sometimes too, one of the things I've been finding out, this fabric here has a lot of shreddy stuff. So the first one I did starch it. I don't have any Terreal Magic. I like Terreal Magic better. It relieves those little starches. It relieves all this little stuff here. So you might have some little fuzzies. And it all depends on your fabric. Some fabrics are woven very loosely, so you're going to get a lot more threads. And I have one more here. So what I did this time, and it is coming out much better, I starched this both sides. I sprayed it all at both sides. I let it sit for a couple minutes, and then I pressed it both sides. And then I went back and sprayed it again. And I did that like 4 or 5 times. And this, and then I applied an iron-on fusible. But my fabric is very stiff now, which is nice. That's what you want. You want it nice and stiff so that it cuts around these edges real nicely. Now I could save these for some project that I could do, in the time when I have spare time. There we go. So I'll put those aside. But here it is. There is our piece. And I would go back through, well, for the process that I'm doing, I would go back through and probably trim some of these, because what I'm doing is I'm going to do this layering thing to get those in there. Okay. So let me explain what I did. Once I finished this, I took a piece of fabric, this green fabric, and I attached it to the back of the hoop so it fit on there like this. And I basted it so that would hold it. And then in the software, I there's outline stitches already in this design. I took the design that goes into artistic, and I'll show you that. I copy pasted those and made them outline stitches here so that when I lay my little sprinkles down on there, I can put the vinyl over it like this. I would use a softer vinyl too. And I wanted to do one at a time. I did not want it to do all 4 because these little ones, these are kind of thick, the little guys that are under there. See how you can see they're a little thick? You really want the flat ones that look like confetti. And when I went to the store and I was trying to explain, they were like looking at me crazy. I said, I want confetti. And they, so that I found these, they work okay, but they bounce around while you're sewing. They do make you nervous because after you sew down the vinyl, I trim it, and then it does the satin stitch. All right, so let's go into the computer and I'll show you how I did the, let me see here, got to figure out which mouse I'm using. Here we go. And we'll switch to the software. Hold on. All right. So I want to show you 2 things though too. And where are we here? First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go in my browser, and I have a folder on my desktop that has the cut work ones. It says cut work, and these say draw file. And I don't know if you can see it. Oh, maybe I'll make it bigger so you can see that. These say draw right there. So these are the ones that I would take into my computer, into my software, if I was going to manipulate them in any way. Okay, these are the ones I would want to take in there. And then the other ones will go back. The other ones that are in here, these are JPX. I don't want to take these into my software. I could copy it and paste it to my USB stick at this point, or you can look on the, if you don't want to even open it in the browser, you can look on the pictures. They're all labeled, so you know which one is which, so you can copy paste it right to your USB stick and skip the computer altogether. There is a template sheets that come in that folder with the JPX files, and they're not going to load in here. They're PDFs, but they're all PDFs, so you have printable ones right there. You don't have to take it in anywhere to make the printout, okay? Unless you're working in the software. All right, so let me go back and I'm going to go get the design. And it's right here. So this is our design. And so here it is over here in the, let me move this out of the way. You can see it in the sequence window. This is the one I actually changed already. But when you go down, it has this area right here. When I click here, this is raw data, okay? But this, when I click on this, look what happens. It gives me the cut command. So if there's something I wanted to do with the cut part of it, I could. 2 and 4 a.m. Oh, that's true. I could cut it out of this and make a St. Patrick's. So this part here is not with that design. I created that, and then it stitches that. I don't know why it didn't open the this one. Oh, because it's already labeled here. That's why. So yours would not. I'm going to delete this part, and I'll bring it back in and show you. Let's delete that. Okay. So when you get this in here, it will have the stipple. It'll have these are the tack down stitches before it does the cut work. So I did that before you guys got here, and then I started the cut work right here. So, and I got to the last, I had the last one to do when you came in, the last cut all the way around. And I can kind of see in here, there's a little gap right here on all of these. So that's probably why we have one part that sticks just a little bit. And then after it stitches that, it will do the satin stitch. So it would look just like this. But you know, because we have software, you know, the love of software is to change it. So I wanted to add that little vinyl in there. So I needed these pieces right here. Okay. So what I did is I just selected one, hit shift, move down here and select the last one. I went up here and I did copy paste. Now they are at the bottom of my list. See, they're after that, which is fine for now. And I made each one a different color. So I have to ungroup them right now. So we'll ungroup. And then you just click on them, and in your colors, I think I did this color. Now these are, they're considered fills. Do you see how they're solid here? They're considered fills, even though they look like an outline. And so I just went through, oops, wait a minute. There we go. And I made them all different colors so that I could stitch one at a time and not worry about it moving to the next one. So, and then I have to reorder this. So to reorder, I'm just going to click on the top color one I wanted, shift, click on the bottom one, and I'm just going to collapse them like that. I have my left click and drag, and then I'm going to put them right here after the cut. So it'll cut, like right now, that's where I'm at. And I'll add that green fabric behind here. And then it will stitch this first one. What I'll do is I'll lay on the, I can stitch the green I could do this twice if I wanted. But what I did, since I just basted the green fabric on there, what I did is I laid my little sprinkles in the opening on the green fabric, and I laid the vinyl down and let it stitch this. And then it went to the next one. And I did each one individually like that. Kind of held my breath because they do, but these ones bounce around a little bit, but I had my finger on the stop button the whole time so that I could, and I didn't want to put my finger down there to move any of them while it's stitching. All right. The stop button is your friend. So then after it gets done with that, it does the outline part. Okay. So I'm going to switch over. So you see how that works? So this is the one I would want to bring in to manipulate if I wanted to manipulate it. Another thing is if I wanted to put two of these together. So let's say I wanted to put this little guy and where's the one I want? Up here. Maybe it's not that. Maybe it's this one. It's one of these little, yeah. So I want to use this one and this guy in, oh, maybe it's this one. This little guy and this one in one. So I'm going to open this up and I'm actually going to delete this because I want to show you how I brought it in. Now, so here you can see this design. It has two parts that are cut. So it does the little circles here. So those are the little circles for the cut. Let's go back to properties so you can see it. And then it'll go back to satin, doing all its stitching. And then it's going to come down here. And what it's going to do last on the edge of your fabric would be this, and then it would cut the fabric off. So, if you're using, maybe you're putting on the edge of a napkin or something, it would cut that way. And also you could line these up in a bigger hoop. So you have, maybe you have two rotations of these. So if you had a bigger hoop like our RE46, you could put it lengthwise down there and have 5 or 6 of these going. Now, if I want to add that other piece in, one of the ways I could do is I could go to my browser and I could get it here. But, there's this neat thing, and a lot of people, they have forgotten it's there, or maybe they didn't know it's there. But I can go to my Finder, and I'm hoping it shows up here, or you can go to your Explorer window where you keep your files. And then I'm going to choose in here. Oh, it doesn't show you my, darn it all. It won't show you my Finder. But what I'm going to do in my Finder is I'm going to go to the folder that has the designs. And I'm going to take that design and I'm just going to click and draw it into this field. All right, so you'll see it come in. Oh, it is showing now. There it is. So I can just click and drag it in there and then let go. Isn't that cool? So you could do that at any time. You don't have to open the browser. You could just have a window open. If you want to add something to it, go to your Explorer or go to your Finder and bring it in. And then I wanted to rotate this just a little bit, so I rotated it just a bit like that. Maybe I want to move it up a little bit or whatever. And there it is. So I could have a design that has 2 cut work parts in it. Now I might want to put these close together, but I think what I would want is this one to stitch first and this to stitch last because it's going to cut away fabric. So what I would do is select this one. Since I brought it in, it stays to grouped, and then I would just slide it up here to the top. Or I could do this also. I could do right click, order to back of design. And then it would stitch this one all first, and then it would come and stitch that one. I could play around with trying to get my cut files all together at the same time too, but sometimes that can get messy. So you want to be careful about that. All right, so I'm going to put the camera back on and see if you guys have any. Did I show you everything that I wanted to show you? I think I did. How to bring that in, how to manipulate. If I was just going to put it on my USB stick, how I would do that. Let me go back here and put the camera on. There we go. All right, and oops, let's put it over here. One last look at our little design. So what I would do is, if it's going to stitch this one first, let me just move this down here. There we go. I would lay my little sprinkles in there. Let me show you. Now, if these are the flat ones, it's so much easier. I would lay them in there like that, okay? And then I would lay my vinyl right on top like that, and it's going to stitch around this. Then I would stop and trim it, and it would go to the next one. and I would work my way around. But you see how there's some little bit of fuzzies I need to fix under there? I would make sure I take care of all of that first before I move on. And I think if I had Terrio Magic, I wouldn't have any of those. Terrio Magic makes sure it really stiffens the fabric and keeps those fibers very, very firm so they stay together. Let me just move them out of here because I'll have these little hearts everywhere before you know it. There we go. I'll put the lid back on. Whew. All right, we used to work with, way back we had crystals. We used to do a lot with crystals. I probably still have crystals on the floor in different places. So there you go. And then I just made this. This is a little mitered corner thing that I put it in just to show it. And then I have a little easel I'm going to put it on. But there it is. So I think a thinner vinyl, this is a little bit thick vinyl. They have a thinner one. I think I'd use a thinner one because then it would have a little more give to shake a little bit better. Okay. All right. Let me put the camera on up here. And oh, we're not too bad. 45 minutes. We're not too bad. All right, everyone. I don't see any questions down there, I don't think. Everything looks good down there. All right. So I won't see you till next week. I think I'm on twice next week, Thursday and Friday. Not sure what I'm doing. I think Thursday, something, a project of some kind. And Friday, I'm going over the embroidery side, my favorite things on this machine back here. Okay. I have dueling machines in here, which is really fun. And you know what? Both of them are Wi-Fi. So the software sees both of them when they're both on. I could just, depending on which hoop I have selected in the software, I can send it to either, one machine, change the hoop, send it to the other machine. I love that feature of the software. So that's why we want embroidery software. I love to manipulate. If I can find designs, I create my own things, yes, but I'm also a manipulator of designs. I love to go in and find another design and see like, oh, I like this part. I want to use it over here, or I want to do something different with it like this. I have a vision. Now, this vision came from my manager, Tracy. She said, oh, Anne, I see this with those little sprinkles in there. I'm like, okay, let me do that. Okay. So, that's what software is for. Fun things like that. All right, everyone, have a great day. Have a wonderful, it's almost the weekend for me anyway. So have a wonderful weekend and I'll see you next week. Bye for now.